The 280V is my current favorite handheld. Let's test a ton of PS1 games, shall we? Oh, hi there. It's me, your good old buddy Tech2Weeb. Thanks for clicking on the video. This is the Ambernic 280V. I love this thing. I did a complete review of this where I did an unboxing and the problems I had and how I fixed them, so check that video out, a link in the description below. And I installed Atom Image, which is a custom firmware for the 280V that makes it way better. Seriously, look at these awesome full screen menus. And it has screenshots for the games. It's just so easy to use and beautiful and elegant. It makes the old one look like total garbage. Not only does the UI look better, but the games run better too. Atom Image has all the best emulators built in, including RetroArch, so your games will run great, and you have a lot more options for tweaking the visuals and performance. I also did a video with some extended game testing, link for that video in the description below as well. But I have lots of these devices, lots of them that I love. I love playing Game Boy games on my BitBoy, I did a video about that, link below. I love playing Game Boy Advance games on my Pal Kitty V90, link for that video is below too. I also love my good old LDK, which was my first retro handheld, video link below. And my favorite part about that thing was the form factor. It's a bit weird to get used to with your fingers on top of the device for the L and R buttons. Well, maybe it's my weird hands with my long skinny fingers, but I had no problem getting used to playing like this. But none of these devices play PlayStation very well. Well, the Pal Kitty V90 could handle some PS1 after you updated for the Mayu custom firmware for that. I made a video about that, a link in the description below. But for the most part, all these older and lower powered devices, they stink at PS1. So that's why I was excited for the 280V, because it's in the same small pocket-friendly form factor that I love. The screen on top and the buttons underneath, bumpers up top, but it has the guts to handle some 3D stuff. And since PlayStation's the easiest 3D console to emulate, I wanted to do an extended test on a whole bunch of games to see how it handled everything. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're all loaded up with a big batch of PS1 games. I googled the most popular PS1 games and I got pretty much everything off the list, so if there's a big PS1 game that you're looking to see tested, you'll probably see it here. Lots of these games I haven't played, but lots of them I have. I had a PS1 back in the day and I loved it, so playing through some of these games will be a blast from the past. I don't want to get into technical discussions of FPS and performance tweaks, all that stuff. I just want to know what plays well right out of the box, if it plays okay or not. I already did some preliminary testing and, spoiler alert, pretty much everything ran great. So, without further ado, let's play some games. I couldn't decide how to organize the list, so I'm just gonna go alphabetically. First up, we have Alien Resurrection. I played a bit of this back in my Pal Kitty V90 custom firmware video. It seems like a decent, kind of moody, spooky first-person game. Sort of reminds me of an older version of Alien Isolation, which is the only game to make me literally pee my pants. Here's Alundra. Is that how you say it? Alundra. It's a 2D RPG with very nice graphics. Sort of like Zelda, you know, like a 32-bit Zelda. I looked it up and it looks good. I didn't play it very much because I don't have hours to test each game, but a little test definitely makes me want to give it a try someday. Bloody Roar 2 is up next. This one's supposed to be pretty much the most demanding PS1 game, for emulation at least, and it's definitely not running at 60 FPS. But it runs close to 60 FPS with frame skip on. I could play like this. I like it. Yeah, it's not as smooth as it would be on a more powerful device, but it's pretty playable, and there's no audio stuttering. I'd say if you love this game, you're not going to be happy with anything less than perfect. But for me, I could definitely play like this and enjoy it. Bomberman World here. Never played it. I haven't played many Bomberman games actually. Don't yell at me, I know. It's a good series, everyone loves it. I really should give it a try. This one seems like a good one to try, so maybe I should play some more of this one. Brave Fencer Musashi. This game, you guys. I totally forgotten about this game until I saw it on the list, and all my memories came flooding back. So many good memories in this game. It was the first PS1 game I ever got. I had a friend with a PS1, and I said, "Hey buddy, I'm getting a PS1 and I want a game that's like Zelda." And he suggested this one. It's really good, you guys. I'm definitely going to play more of this on my 280V. Oh man, I totally forgot about this game. Brigandine, The Legend of Forsena. This is a tactical RPG for the PS1. It's sort of like Advance Wars, I guess, but it's like fantasy based and has 3D battle animations. It seems really cool, and it plays just fine on the 280V. Like strategy games on little portable devices. It's a really good fit, the kind of gameplay you want for a portable device. Here we have Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. I put this on for my little cousin. It's dumb and easy, but he sucks at games, so I thought he'd like it. He didn't, but it runs well, so there's that.
I probably should have joined right at Albuquerque
Capcom vs. SNK. I love these 2D fighting games. I don't really care about SNK characters, but I'm not picky, so I had lots of fun playing around with this game. Runs just fine. It looks really sharp on this little screen. The PS1 went up to 640 by 480, and I'm pretty sure this is running at a higher resolution because it's so crisp. The 280V has a 480 by 320 screen, by the way, so some games will end up looking downsampled a bit. Only really noticeable on games with lots of tiny little text, which is unfortunate, but really doesn't cause a problem in the vast majority of games, so, you know, that's good. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night here. One of my subscribers specifically asked me for me to test this game, so here it is. Can I confess something? I don't like Castlevania. I know, I'm the worst, but there hasn't been one that's grabbed me. I had Dawn of Sorrow on the DS, so that was okay. I didn't beat it or anything. I don't know why, there's just something about the general mood and vibe of Castlevania. It just doesn't resonate with me, you know? Plays great on the 280V though, so if you want some Castlevania on the 280V, you can play Symphony of the Night on PS1. Chrono Cross is a game I got into later in life. I think I played this emulated on my first decent PC that could handle it, and it's very good, you guys. I'm sure you already knew that though. The graphics in this game really blew away most of the games at the time, maybe with the exception of like the Final Fantasy games. It looks so dang good for a PS1 game, and I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but the best part of the game is the story. I remember it fondly. I don't think I got very far back in the day, so I really think I should play this again. Playing really good here on the 280V. Looks just amazing on this little screen. Text is readable too. So here's Colony Wars. It's a space simulator game. I love space simulator games actually. From Freelancer is one of my favorite games of all time. And at one point I played Elite Dangerous every single night for about 3 months with my HOTAS joystick. This game seems cool. I really didn't do anything, I just sort of flew around in the training section. Should I play it some more? You guys tell me in the comments. Is this game worth my time? This is Command & Conquer Red Alert. I played this on the PC. Like a lot. I loved RTS games back when this came out. I would never want to play it on a console, let alone a retro handheld like this, but it does run, as you can see, and you probably won't find any better RTS games that'll run on this little device than this, so you know. If you like playing RTS games on a D-pad, then this will be perfect for you. It's a really good game, and it runs great on the 280V. It just wouldn't be much fun to play on this, in my opinion. Oh, sorry about the screen recording quality, by the way. It gets better in a little bit. It's really hard to film these little screens and keep them in focus and keep the refresh rate from getting all weird. Also, my camera sucks. I'll get better at this. Just be patient with me. Here's Cool Boarders. This is a game I loved. I love snowboarding. I mean, snowboarding games. I do snowboard a little. I haven't gone this year because we haven't had much snow, but I hope we can. I love 1080 snowboarding on the Nintendo 64, but Cool Boarders was my preferred snowboarding game. I used to stay over at my friend's house back in high school, and we played the snot out of this game. Playing it now on the 280V brought back some good memories of those days. It plays great, and it's lots of fun. You should check it out. There's a bunch of Crash Bandicoot games. Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3, Crash Bash, and Crash Team Racing. I really do like these games. They're super easy, very basic. Pretty much games for little kids, to be honest. But there's something really, I don't know, nostalgic about them. I didn't even play them back in the day, but they feel familiar somehow. There was 3 main games. And there was a party game called Crash Bash and a racing game called Crash Team Racing. So you can see here they run fine, except for Crash Team Racing, which would crash as soon as the level started. I don't know if there's something up with the ISO I got or what, but you can't play that one here. The rest are fine though. These are actually some of the easiest 3D games to emulate. They'll run on almost anything. Even my old BitBoy runs them okay, except for the racing one. It crashed there too. Pun intended. Anyways, the others run fine on the 280V. You won't have any issues playing with Crash 1 to 3 and Crash Bash. Here we have Croc, Legend of Gobbos. This was on a list of the best games for some reason. I played it for a few minutes. It's a typical action platformer. I don't know, seems fun. I'm not gonna play it anymore, but it runs well on the 280V if you want to play it. Good game for a kid, I think. Destruction Derby. This is a game that I played a ton of. My cousin and I used to play this back when I was in high school. This is a destruction derby game, so you gotta crash cars and not get your car smashed up to the point that it doesn't work anymore. Really fun racing game and smash up destruction demolition derby style game. You gotta give this one a try. Here's Dino Crisis 2. This is sort of like Resident Evil, I think. Maybe like an arcadey Resident Evil style game. It's like a scary adventure survival game. I keep intending to play this one. I think I'd like it. I love dinosaurs and Resident Evil style games. These games have pre-rendered 2D backgrounds, so they look like they have more advanced graphics than they actually do. And just trying it for a few minutes, I can tell I like it. Actually, I'm definitely going to play this one some more. My favorite dinosaur is Troodon, by the way. What's yours? Let me know in the comments below. Here we have Doom. This is the original Doom. This game has been ported to pretty much every system in the galaxy. Even aliens from Omicron Persei 8 play this on their calculators. It runs as a standalone app on the 280V at its native resolution, so you should probably just play it there. The PS1 version is a little bit weird. You can see the colors are weird, but it's not terrible. It plays alright otherwise. If the PS1 version is your Doom of choice, then yeah, go nuts. Driver 2 is another game I played a ton of. Me and my cousin. A different cousin. I have a lot of cousins. Like, a lot of cousins. My grandparents were very busy, if you know what I mean. The best part about this game is that it has a split-screen cops and robbers mode where one guy has to escape and the other has to catch him. The single-player mode is great too. It's like an early version of a 3D Grand Theft Auto style game, and it runs perfect on the 280V. Here's Duke Nukem Time to Kill. I loved Duke Nukem on the PC. That game defined an era of my life. This game is not that game. It's a different thing. It's a third-person shooter, and it doesn't really have the same quality of level design and gameplay as the original FPS Duke 3D, but it's still a good game. It's fun and funny, and it runs just fine on the 280V. I played a few levels and had a great time. This is Fighting Force. Why didn't anyone tell me about this one? I had no idea about this game, but it totally looks like something I'd love. I love brawlers, especially like arcade-style brawlers, and this one looks like just the right blend of ridiculous action with some good level design. I'm 100% gonna play more of this one. And yeah, it plays perfectly on the 280V. Final Fantasy VII. I didn't play Final Fantasy VII on my PS1. I played Final Fantasy IX though. I'll get to that one in a minute. These games are really good for lower power devices because they're turn-based RPGs, so they still play great even if you have to turn on frame skip to get them to run okay. As long as you get them running, they're perfect to play on these handheld systems. And I don't need to tell you that about the Final Fantasy games. They're great. The story and the graphics and the RPG gameplay is second to none, and it runs flawlessly on the 280V without any sacrifices. Final Fantasy IX is the one that I played, and oh man, this was probably my favorite PS1 game. I didn't beat it though. I did that thing I do in RPGs sometimes where I try to rush through the game and I get to the final boss and it's way too hard because I didn't grind and prepare enough. Yeah, this was one of those situations, and I always regretted that I never beat it because this is hands down my favorite Final Fantasy game of all time. There's something about this story. Something about the music and the writing and the vibe of the world. It just tickles me in all the right ways. It's a bit of a fantastical Final Fantasy. You know, the story's kind of like whimsical. It's like a fairy tale. It's cute and funny. It's not so serious and angsty like lots of the games in the series. I keep intending to go back to this game because I know I'll love it all over again if I do. Oh man, is your to playlist as overflowing as mine is? This game runs perfectly too, by the way. Here's Final Fantasy Tactics. This is an amazing series. I played Final Fantasy Tactics on the GBA, and I played the junk out of the DS version, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance A2 Grimoire of the Rift, which has to be the longest name for a game ever. But this is the original Final Fantasy Tactics, from the PS1. I never played the PS1 version. I probably won't, to be honest, but it looks like a good tactics game. Looks fun. And if you want to play a Final Fantasy Tactics game, then this PS1 version seems like a great game, and it runs A-OK on the 280V. Front Mission 3. My friend, the one who told me about Brave Fencer Musashi, this was his favorite PS1 game, so I definitely watched a ton of this game being played. It's a tactical RPG with mechs. The story's really good too from what I remember. I know lots of people love it, but as you can see, it does not run on the 280V. It's just stuck at the loading screen. Maybe it's my ROM, maybe you can get it to run, but I didn't mess around with it. Gran Turismo 1 and 2. Probably the most famous racing game on the PS1. They're good games. I played them on occasion over the years. The Gran Turismo series is more of a realistic racing series. It's more of a simulation than an arcade racer. I think that was a relatively new concept back in the PlayStation 1 days. The graphics are really good too. This looks a lot better than most racing games on the PS1. The graphics have stood the test of time, but the gameplay has too. These games still feel great. Really tight mechanics. Even playing it on a D-pad and this tiny screen, it feels really responsive and satisfying. No problems running either of these on the 280V. Here's GTA 2. I played this game back on my first laptop. See, I got this laptop. It was an old Dell laptop with a trackball. This was back in like 2001 or 2, I think. I used that laptop to play GTA 2 and StarCraft. My friend was into those games too, but he wanted a cool laptop like me, so he bought the same one. They're just these used laptops from a sketchy computer store in downtown Toronto. We would plug those laptops together with a serial cable and play a multiplayer StarCraft and GTA 2. I played the single player in this game too. It's a really good game. It's not like the later 3D GTA games. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's a different experience though, different gameplay. If you like the GTA series, then you'll get a kick out of playing this. Playing it on the 280V feels really great. And here's Harry Potter. I don't know how this game is. It didn't work for me. It's like the buttons weren't mapped correctly or something, but I couldn't change anything to get it to work. So it could burn in hell for all I care. Oh man, this video is getting really long. I should probably speed this up. I should probably talk less about some games and kind of speed through this a little bit more. And here I am talking about how slow I'm making this video instead of talking about Harvest Moon. So yeah, look on the screen. This is Harvest Moon for the PS1. It's a really good game and you should play it. And it plays really good on the 280V. This is Heart of Darkness. I'd never heard of this game. This is one of those like trial and error games, you know, where like you gotta push a certain button and if you mess it up, you die. You gotta go through the whole thing all over again and it's just redoing the same thing over and over. I really didn't like this game. I only played it for a couple minutes and I don't even think you could pay me to play this. It's just such an unfun style of game to me. But it runs well, there's that. This is Legend of Dragoon. I didn't know anything about this game. It was on the list of the best PlayStation games and it was pretty high up on the list. I'm pretty sure this is a really good game that lots of people love. I just never heard of it. Maybe it wasn't a very popular game around me here in Canada or something. From the little sample I played, the production quality is really high. The visuals and the sound just look amazing, and I'm sure it's a good game. And I know lots of people like it, so, you know, if you like this game, or if you're interested in this game, you have no problem running it on the 280V. Okay, here we go. Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. This is my kind of fighting game. Because I know all the characters. I played lots of Street Fighter, and I know all the Marvel characters. Those have a bunch of weird characters from franchises I don't really know. I mean, I'm not a fighting game connoisseur, but in my opinion, this is one of the best fighting games. It's just the right mix of like the old school fighting game kind of move styles with the newer style gameplay of a lot more combos and speed focus. Playing fighting games on the 280V, they play fine. You know, I complained a little bit about the D-pad and the buttons in my review. But I mean, if you can play fighting games and pull off all your moves, then, you know, they're pretty good buttons, the D-pad, in my opinion. It runs great on the 280V, of course. Medal of Honor Underground. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there were lots of first-person shooters on the PS1. I really like first-person shooters, and I definitely loved first-person shooters back in the old PS1 days, but I don't remember really playing any. Surprisingly, this game plays fine on the 280V. There was a problem I was having at the start where I couldn't, like, hit anything. The D-pad was too sensitive or something. But when I switched the controls from analog to digital, I was suddenly able to play just fine. I was getting headshots all over the place. I'm as surprised as you are that a first-person shooter works well on this button D-pad configuration, but I played for a little while and I had no problems at all. You could totally enjoy this game on the 280V, and it runs buttery smooth. Megaman X6. You know, I was a Megaman nut when I was a kid. Mega Man was my favorite, like, franchise. On the original Nintendo, I had Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4. Was there a Mega Man 5? I don't remember. I've kind of forgotten it all. Well, I remember when I got the Super Nintendo, Mega Man X was, like, my favorite game, and Mega Man X2. Then I kind of fell away from the series and stopped paying attention to it. And going back and playing Mega Man games is always fun, but it's kind of frustrating because I used to be so good at Mega Man games, and I stink at them now. They're hard games, and you have to kind of get into the groove, and I definitely have lost my groove. As far as I can tell, this is a really good Mega Man game, and it runs really good on the 280V. This is Micro Machines V3. I have lots of fond memories playing the original Micro Machines on the NES. And I also played the Nintendo 64 version. A friend of mine had it and 4 controllers, and we used to have a blast playing a ton of this game. I'm pretty sure the Nintendo 64 version is the same as this version. It really is a fun game. You can have fun playing single player, but the best way to play this one is multiplayer. Obviously not possible on the 280V, but the single player runs just fine and plays well, even on this D-pad. And this is Oddworld, and unfortunately it didn't work. And I tried Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus, and neither of them worked. Which was a shame. I really wanted to test this game because somebody said that my voice was sort of like the character from this game. I looked at some videos, I could see why they would say that. But I wanted to show you guys. It's a shame these games don't work. They look like they're kind of fun. I never played them, but, maybe you could get them to work. I didn't really mess around too much. I tried to change some settings, but yeah, I just couldn't get them running. So this is Parappa the Rapper, and I don't know what to say about this game. If you've ever played this game, you'll probably understand why I'm at a loss for words. It's very weird, very confusing, very silly. It's like a buttons timing game, you gotta push the buttons at the right time and follow along with the rapper guy as he says stuff, and you push the buttons and it's like rapping. Really weird. I don't understand or really enjoy my time with it, but it runs fine here. This was on the list of the best games, so, I'm sure lots of people like it. Go nuts. It runs fine on the 280V. This is Parodius. It's a horizontal shoot-em-up, a shmup, as they say. I love me some shmups. I wasn't blown away by this game, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. Seems alright, but nothing special. Runs fine. This is Rayman. I played a 3D Rayman game back on the original DS that was a remake of an older game, and it was really good. I played through the whole game. It was like my favorite DS game for a little while. This PS1 Rayman game is nice looking, retro style platformer. It looks great and it seems fun, but there's so many other great platformers that you can play on this device. I don't know why you'd want to play a 2D PS1 platformer over, the great GBA platforms, for instance. I don't know, maybe it's an amazing game. Go for it. It runs great on the 280V. This is Resident Evil 2. Oh man, I played this game back in high school at my friend's house. This was the first scary game that I ever played. This was the first time I ever played a game that actually scared me. This game was so creepy, especially back then, before the market was saturated with zombie games. I was really into zombie movies at the time, and yeah, this game was just something about the survival mechanics and just always being on the edge of not having enough ammo and these zombies coming after you, and it just tosses you right in the middle of this, zombie-infested city, and it was just unlike anything I ever played at the time. We played this in the dark in his basement with the volume turned up, and it's so freaky. I'll never forget playing this game. Really, really good game. Runs great on the 280V, of course. This is Silent Hill. I wasn't aware that there was a Silent Hill game on the PS1. My first experience with Silent Hill was when the original Xbox came out. My friend who got an original Xbox, that was one of the games he got. He got Halo and Silent Hill. And yeah, that was a really freaky, weird game. It was still freaky and weird. I played this one for a little bit, and that same confusing, lonely Silent Hill vibe was still present back then. One thing I like about this game on the PS1 is that it's a survival game, but it doesn't have the static backgrounds that games like the Resident Evil series has. This one is actually a full 3D game, and it's really impressive looking. And it runs on the 280V without any problems. So this is Spider-Man on the PS1, obviously. I played the Spider-Man games, I think, starting on the PS2. There was one game, Ultimate Spider-Man. That game just sucked away like a couple months of my life. I love those open-world Spider-Man games. Spider-Man's a fun superhero to play as. I don't think I would enjoy this one as much because I don't think it's as open-world. This was like one of the first 3D Spider-Man games. It seems like a fine game, though, and it's on the list of the top PlayStation games, so, lots of people gotta like it. It's gotta be good, I guess. And playing fine here on the 280V, of course.
When I'm hurt, these will help restore my health.
And here's Spyro the Dragon. This is a good game for kids. Or, childish adults. Not like me. That big, mature, fancy, grown-up men like me would never play a kid's game like Spyro. Definitely not. These games are super easy to emulate. I think pretty much every device that can play PS1 games came with this game pre-installed, just because it's one of those 3D games that's sort of big, open world, and it's a bit more on the impressive side considering how easy it is to run. No problems playing with the D-pad and the button configuration that they have out of the box. It runs just fine. Fun game to play on any device, even the 280V. Here's Suikoden. Is that how you pronounce it? Sorry if I'm messing that up. It's a role-playing game that I didn't really know there was this on the PS1. I played a Suikoden game on the DS, Suikoden Tear Crisis. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, sorry. But I remember liking it. This one looks really good. Good art and good music. Showing you guys RPGs is hard because lots of them take a long time to get into the action, and I don't have time to play each game for like 30 minutes just to get to the good stuff. As you can tell, I've spent a lot of time recording footage for this video, but at least you can see it running, see that it works, so if you want to play this game on the 280V, you totally can. Syphon Filter 1, 2, and 3. These games are really good. I played all three of these back on the PS1. I love this sort of game. They're sort of like a James Bond kind of game, like a secret agent, and the plots are about espionage and infiltration, sneaky stuff, but also some shooty stuff. The graphics are a bit blocky on the 280V. I don't think it renders the shadows accurately, but I played them a bit and I enjoyed them. The graphics are fine and the controls work well enough, so I don't see why you wouldn't be able to enjoy these games on the 280V. They're all great games and they're totally worth playing, so I highly suggest checking them out. Tekken 1, 2, and 3. All the Tekken games run fine. No issues at all. I suck at these games. I know that they're not like other fighting games. They have a specific rhythm to the fighting. You kinda gotta get a feel for it before you'll be able to be decent at them. I can say that they feel good on this device. The controls feel tight and responsive. The buttons and D-pad feel really great for fighting games. As for how they run, I think you'll want to have frame skip on, so you'll probably be playing at 30 FPS. Once you have that on, they'll run fine. No stuttering or sound glitches or anything, at least as far as I can tell. The Tekken purists might disagree, but they feel okay to me. I really enjoy playing them like this. This is Tenchu Stealth Assassins. This is another game I played that I love. It's a genre I love, in fact. Stealth games. I love sneaking around, hiding in shadows, finding my target, and planning how I'm gonna take him down. This is probably the first true stealth game that I played, to be honest. This game is about being a ninja. You have to find your target and assassinate them. You have a grappling hook that you can use to zip around the levels, to get up high on rooftops and strike from above. It's a game with lots of ways you can go about completing your objectives. It's basically Splinter Cell, but with ninjas in Japan, and with a cheesy story and cutscenes.
What? Who are you?
You've been a bad boy. It's payback time.
No issues at all running this on the 280V, by the way. Here's King of Fighters Millennium Battle. The King of Fighter games are quickly becoming one of my favorite fighting game series to check out on my retro devices. I didn't play them till recently, but they're really good games, I can tell. The graphics and sound and game mechanics are really enjoyable. I'm not a fighting game connoisseur, as you can tell, but I know good games when I try them, and I can definitely say that this is a great fighting game. There's other King of Fighter games that run on this device, so I don't know which one's the best version. But this PS1 version is great, I can say that for sure. Tomb Raider 1 and 2 didn't work for me, which is strange. They're not the most demanding games, and they do work on some other systems. Maybe it's a ROM that I found this time or something. I don't know. I couldn't get them working, but I didn't try too hard. Sorry. I bet you can find a way to get these working if you try, to be honest. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. This was hands down my favorite PS1 game. I still love it, although I've forgotten how to do everything. I used to be a pro at this. I suck now. It's been a while since this game came out, and skating games didn't really hold my attention once the PS1 era passed us by. It runs just fine on the 280V. No stuttering or frame rate issues. Plays great too. I have no problem pulling off my moves. I had no problem pulling off my moves from the 280V itself. I only had issues because I suck now. Twisted Metal 2. There's 4 Twisted Metal games on the PS1. Hugely popular series. I played at least one of them. Quite a bit actually, but I don't remember which one it was. I looked online which was the best one, and the internet agreed that 2 was the best one, so that's the one I tested here. I remember loving this game back in the day, but playing it now, it hasn't aged well. I mean, it's fine. The gameplay's okay. It's still sort of fun, but it's just that this style of driving and shooting mechanics has moved on, and these sort of games feel way different now than they did on the PS1. Still fun to play on the 280V, as a blast from the past though. And now we have Vagrant Story. This game blew me away. I had heard the name before, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what to expect, but once the game started and the cutscene began, I knew this wasn't going to be another boring derivative RPG that just didn't interest me. The art style is so cool and unique, the way the characters are designed, and the way they handle the lighting and the color palette, it's very unique. It doesn't look like any other game that I've played. It just oozes style. The story is really good. When I fired this up, I was getting pretty fatigued playing through all these PS1 games. I just wanted to be done, but even still, I got sucked into the story. It's not childish and cheesy. It's very well written and sophisticated, and after my short play session, I vowed to keep playing because I want to see what happens. The fighting mechanic is very intriguing. I only scratched the surface, but it has this mechanic where you position yourself and then select the body part you want to hit. There's more to it than that, but that's the gist. Oh, my imagination goes wild at all the possibilities of this combat system. I can't wait to see how it plays out. This is definitely 100% my favorite new game out of all the games I tested today, and I'm gonna play it. Probably on my Super Console X, to be honest. I kinda wanna play this on the big screen. No issues playing on a small screen though, runs flawlessly on the 280V. I wasn't expecting this. Wow, what a great game. I'm blown away. This is Vigilante 8 Second Defense. This is another car battling game like Twisted Metal. I enjoyed it more than Twisted Metal though. The actual driving feels better, in my opinion. It's got a cheesy vibe to it, so, I understand why some people wouldn't like it. It's just that the mechanics feel really good, I guess. Good game. I have fun playing it for a few minutes. A few dips below 60 frames per second, but nothing that impacted my enjoyment. I say this one's good to go on the 280p. Here's WWF Smackdown 2. I hate wrestling games. I hate wrestling. Wrestling was really big, really popular where I grew up when I was a kid. I grew up in the Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, and Andre the Giant era. I always hated wrestling. I never liked wrestling games. Sorry, wrestling fans. The most I can do for you is let you know that WWF Smackdown 2 runs great on the 280p. So, if you like wrestling, then yeah, play this. And finally, the last game. Believe it or not, I actually intended this to be a quick and easy video. I was gonna play each game for like a minute and just say one quick thing about how they performed, but you know me, I gotta blab on about every little thing, don't I? This is Xenogears, running perfect, no issues at all. This is another really popular game that I didn't know about. I only played for a little bit, and I didn't get into anything cool. I did play a Xeno game on the Wii, the Xenoblade Chronicles, which I think is part of the same series. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm honestly really impressed in Xenogears on the PS1. If I did find Vagrant Story, I'd probably play some more, but I only have so much time to play games, I gotta pick my battles. The busy life of a famous YouTuber, you know how it goes. Well, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed checking out all these PS1 games. Lots of them worked well. Most of them worked well. Pretty much everything that worked was playable. Yeah, there's a few games that didn't work, but again, I didn't try too hard to get them to work, and I might have had bad ROM versions, so take what I showed you with a grain of sand. In your bum crack. And that brings us to the end. Please let me know in the comments below what's your favorite PS1 game. Oh, and what's your favorite device to play old PS1 games on? I'd love to hear from you down there. And while you're down there, give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Or a thumbs down if you didn't like it for some reason. Subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.